Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Fantastic Friday, and according to my magic watch, it is June 27th, 2025. In another month, July 27th, 2025, I'll be 81 years old. And during my time on this earth, 8 decades, I've acquired some knowledge, and perhaps my greatest knowledge is that I don't know everything that I should, which means that I'll probably come back to learn more. Anyway, as always, you need not watch this video. It'll be just me, just chit-chatting, talking about things. And one of the things that I like to talk about is this very wonderful state of friendship. See this book? My friend Jackie Palmer gave me this book. And as far as I'm concerned, Jackie Palmer is a friend. Now, how Jackie Palmer feels about me, that's her business. Has nothing to do with how I feel about her. I like her because every time I've ever seen her in a social setting, she's got this smile on her face. And she has never been rude to me. So I consider her a friend. And I've been thinking about that. Smile on the face. And you know what I know? Old people, they all have this smile on their face, as if they have a secret. And you know what? They do have a secret. Especially old people who are happy. Happy old people. Just a minute ago I was out in my backyard and I was looking at the birds and the flowers, and for a while I would close my eyes and I was in my dad's backyard and him looking at his plants and he's saying he doesn't care what people think about him. He's happy. The guy planted the stuff that he likes to plant. You know, I think my dad was a farmer at heart. And I have a couple of relatives who visited my dad, and they came away and they would say things like, you know, he lives in squalor. He lives in a pretty shabby dress guy. All they could say were the negative things about him, and I won't even mention them. But I will mention this. One of my cousins that I'm very, very close to is Leslie. You're familiar with Leslie Butler and his music. His music is the background for many of my nature photos. And I remember once talking to Leslie, and he was telling me that he tried to live his life like his Uncle Webster. Leslie, what do you mean by that, living your life like Uncle Webster? And then he would tell me, he says, look, Uncle Webster lived a stress-free life. The only stress that he had in his life is the BS that other people brought into his life. And then he would go on to say how much he just loved his Uncle Webster. He would tell me that Uncle Webster would bring him fish. I have no idea what that really means, but he would tell me about that. And then he would sit and chat with Leslie. And to Leslie, it made no difference that he dressed in a very shabby way, and his fingernails, under his fingernails would be dirt. I don't ever remember seeing him with gloves on when he worked in his little backyard farm. But you know what? Leslie thought the world of him. And then my nephew, Mitch, You know, I think Mitch really worships his grandpa. But of course, he would have to tell you himself how he really feels about his grandpa. But every time he talks about his grandpa, it's with reverence and with love. So I have come to the conclusion that old people who are happy, I think they have certain secrets. And I'm beginning to decipher what those secrets are. They know themselves, they know who they are, and they don't really care what you think about them. That's your business. If they consider you a friend, that's all well and good. But what's important is old people will decide who their friends are, not based on reciprocal actions, but based upon what they feel in their heart. It's like I said, I happen to love certain people. I love them, I love them, I love them. But how do they feel about me? I don't know. But anyway, I think that old people, you'll notice that they will dress because they want to dress the way they do. If you find an older lady who is dressed to the nine, yeah, I know, that's a Jamaican phrase, but she's dressed that way because it makes her feel good. Or the guy who is walking down the hill in his khaki uniform, the banana on his head, his machete in his hand, and his Wellington. And he may look dirty and shabby to you, but you know what? He is dressed that way because he feels comfortable dressed that way. So I think one of the secrets of happiness is to dress the way that you want to. Now, you can only do that if you know who you are. And old people, they may have their heroes and they have people they admire, but in the end, they know who they are and they know exactly how to live their life as they are. Okay? They know who they are. And as for older people in the 90s who are still walking down the hill, they eat well. They eat to support their health. My friend Jackie gave me this book, and I got to tell you, if you can find a copy of it, you should read it. Old people know how to eat well. They really do. The other thing that I've noticed about old people, and I don't know how to phrase this, so I'm just going to do it my way. If my grammar is awful, see beyond the grammar, okay? But I think old people have three things in common. First of all, they unabashedly and without apology express love. Love for their goat, love for their chicken, love for their farm, and love for people that they respect. Love. And you know something that I found with old people? They share what they have. They share what they have. Old people who are happy are always willing to share what they have. Isn't that something? And the other thing is they listen. They may not be able to do anything about your problems, but they listen. And they always start their advice by saying, well, if it was me, this is what I would do. They're not telling you what to do, they're just telling you what they would do. That is, in other words, they are not making their suggestion unilateral, they're just saying, look, you may want to consider this. That's what I have found. And the other, I have a very dear and wonderful friend, Melanie, and she takes me out to lunch every once in a while. Why? Because she wants to do that. And she no longer wishes to apologize to anyone for anything. And Melanie has taught me through the times about money. I don't think she thinks about it at all. Now, to give you a background about Melanie, she drives this amazing car. It's a Cadillac with every bells and whistles you can think about. And I'm telling you this not to make you feel as if you should be impressed with her wealth. I'm telling you to show you that she has earned her wealth, and she's very happy with herself. Her home is a 3-story home with an elevator from the first floor to the 3rd floor. In her home, her parrot has his own room. Eccentric, you say? Well, no. She does what she wants to do. Okay? To her church, I would imagine, she has never discussed this with me, but I imagine she is very generous with her church. Why? Because she wants to. And what she has taught me about money is this. You really need to look at the value of money and how to use it. Hoarding money is really not that important. When you go to her house, she has these beautiful works of art. Because why? That's what she loves. See? So this is what I believe. I'm having a series on my Facebook page right now about, and it's directed because of a question about how do I get into photography because when I don't have a lot of money. So I thought about that, and what I have done, I did a little bit of research. And remember, I am a humble, modest person with very limited means. And that means also that my knowledge is limited. So based upon what I know, I have recommended the Canon 7D camera. And this camera you can buy, I don't know, for about $190 or something. But if the person who asks, if they're truly, truly interested in photography, this camera will take them all the way to the very top. And eventually, here's the thing. Yeah, okay. Eventually, they will know exactly what they want in a camera. But the 7D right now offers a lot of amenities that will help them to be the photographer that they are. The pictures that I've been showing you about my backyard that I shot this morning was shot with that Canon 7D. Okay? So, I mention that because it's not so much about money, but the value of the things that you buy. Okay? So you buy this camera, and you buy it from a reputable camera store, and you buy a lens like maybe a Tamron, the one I recommend, 18 to 270. It's not the sharpest lens in the world. But then eventually, when you get into photography and you get into it the real way, you will get the lens that you want. You'll get the camera that you want, and it's not about the money, it's about the value. I have a very good friend of mine, and I keep mentioning my car, my Prius, my 2014 Prius. And everything I read about my car, he reads it. And he eventually says, yep, I'm waiting for the next generation of plug-in Toyotas. Because, when you buy a car, there's not much return on your investment in a car, is there? But I am sure if you look up 2014 plug-in Prius, look at this value. It's value, okay? My car is well maintained, and it's maintained by the dealership. So people who know what the value of a car is will find it of value. It only has 200,000 miles on it. That's right. But it's a matter of the value. I know this guy, when I told him about my car, he said, yeah, well, So he goes out and he bought this car. It's an American brand. And a month after he bought it, it was in the shop. It was an older car, maybe a 2020 version of an American car, 5 years old. It was in the shop, and he got it repaired, brought it home, and then it was in the shop again, and in the shop again. I've had my car for so many years, and the only time it goes in the shop is for an oil change. That is because I did my research, and that's the car I wanted. Okay, fine, I'll get to you. But anyway, finally, this is getting a little long. Finally, and I'm going to show you some pictures of my backyard. I'm going to show you little things. You don't, as I said, if you're still with me, God bless you, and I appreciate it. But there's one thing old people, one of their greatest secret is that they don't worry. They live right here and right now. And if on their plate they have a dumpling, a piece of yam, maybe a piece of cocoa, maybe they have some fried codfish and cabbage or something, well, that satisfies their need for hunger. And if it tastes good, and it almost always will, that satisfies their craving for the food. And once their belly is full, they go out into the world to do good, to do some good. In other words, they live a stress-free life. Stress-free life. I remember I was in Maypen, Jamaica once, and I was at a bar in Maypen, and this man came in, and he walked in, and the bartender knew exactly what he wanted. He was a vendor, okay? He had his cart outside. This was many years ago. And he had a push cart, and on the push cart he had fruit and vegetables on the push cart. So he comes into the bar, and the bartender knew exactly what he wanted. So he walks in, and as the man stood there, he gave him this glass with white rum in it. And he picked up the white rum, put it down, put his money on the counter, and he left. And I said, what was that about? He says, that's how he starts his day. And he's 91 years old. So he goes out to his push cart, and his day will be spent selling fruits and vegetables. He have not a worry in the world. None. None. So, and I'm going to tell you this, and this is my advice to you. First of all, two things that are extremely important, and if you follow Microdacism, you're to know all about that. Your happiness is really dependent upon your dependency on others and on things. The less dependent you are on others and on things, the happier you are. Okay? That's the first one. And the second thing is stress. Stress. Avoid it at all costs. And you'll notice that all the stress in the world almost always come from other people, or for doing things that was not natural to your behavior. Avoid stress at all costs. So as for me, this is what I do. I share my thoughts, I share my photos, I share my videos, and I do my best to live a stress-free life. Why? Because my hero is a man that is known as some people as Webster Clark. Some people call him Grandpa. Some people call him Uncle Webster.